Alright then, hello everyone and welcome to round 7 of the NEF1 Season 8 Championship. For the first time in a long time, in over a full game cycle, we are back at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. And a circuit that we probably should have been to last game because I reckon it would have been amazing. But hopefully it's going to be even better so on this game. We have 15 people in the lobby for our regular Q1, Q2 and Q3 format. With a little bit of a twist, Q1 is going to be shortened by a couple of minutes just to streamline the whole event. So basically everyone is going to have to come out on track relatively early, get their laps in and retire before that clock strikes 10. So Q1 should effectively be about an 8 or 9 minute session in total. So everything's going to happen quite quickly here on out. Then Q2 we are going to lose the bottom 5 before the top 10 shootout in Q3. So it's going to be a somewhat streamlined qualifying session, but it's not going to affect the flow of things too much. But we're not really going to see any representative laps that early on. But for now then, let's stick with Kit W41, who had a difficult time last week out in Canada on his debut for NEF1. Didn't really get off to the start he wanted to, getting in a little bit of controversy with YPC as well. That has been sorted out, and hopefully it'll be smoother running on here in Austria for the debutant. Squidge 2017 running sole driver for Red Bull tonight, as well as his teammate Spenklos is on vacation at the moment. He is partnered up front with Djokovic and Onrucek, especially Nasi there as well. But Djokovic at the moment developing a healthy lead in the Drivers' Championship. But we'll have a little look at that. Zamo Bamo 25. Sole duties for Williams at the moment as well. See what he's going to be able to do in that number 35 machinery. Who else is coming out? Basically everyone. Ginst is out, as is Wigan and Darren Stahl. Had a decent time last time out in Canada, picked up a couple of points. C. Douglas also had a difficult debut last week out, but he'll be hoping to improve on that this time out at a track which apparently he is a bit more familiar with and a bit more comfortable with. YPC, Tess and Hybrid still remaining in the pit lane, so is No Larks and ABT, but they should be coming out pretty soon as Kit W41 is on the first flying lap of this session. He's coming up on the back of a Sauerbird and needs to get out of the way quite quickly. That's C. Douglas on an outlap. Needs to be pulling over to the inside probably and letting him go, or just speeding up a little bit, but he is now getting in the way, getting out of the way just there. Kit W41 then heading into Sector 3 as he's coming up to the back of an Aston Martin, who gets well and truly in the way. And who was that? That was Wigan 71, and that is not a pretty block there from Wigan. That will be most likely a slam dunk penalty after this rate. But we'll wait and see until further review. So then, did Kit get into any trouble? Yeah, lost quite a bit of time there, but as long as you have time on the board, it should not matter. You should be able to go through with that time regardless. Onrucek 51 then is a driver who at the moment struggling a little bit through this season, averaging less than 10 points per race, which is quite considerably lower than what he averaged last season out when he had an absolutely amazing season, winning an NEF1 record of 9 Grand Prix in a row. So let's see what Onrucek is going to be able to do here around Austria, which on paper I think the track is going to suit him quite well. Whereas on paper it might be a little bit harder for Djokovic, but we'll wait and see. 105.376 for Onrucek just to begin this session. 5/10 of a second quicker than Squidge 2017, who is handy around a lap here. Djokovic on a 110.768 on a set of softs. That should be that is going to be enough. Same for Hybrid and No Larks, currently on flying laps, but I don't think neither of them are pushing too hard. And Nasi's out on a set of medium tires as well, going through Sector 3. Let's see if Nasi's going to shoot up to the top of the standings on that set of mediums. I'd be scared if he does, and he does. Onrucek, to be fair, also on a set of mediums, so is Squidge, so thankfully it's not that much of a deficit. But Nasi continuing his very impressive pace from last week out. It's absolutely unstoppable in qualifying. Absolutely unstoppable. Here we go, an ABT. I believe that's Ginst is maybe climbing up to the back of him. Yes, he is, just pulling to the inside, letting the Ferrari go. And is that perhaps Matty MC? No, because he's still in the pit lane. Is Matty Adam 16 should be said now, not Matty MC anymore. As 3 people yet to set a time is YPC Tess, BT and Matty Adam. As we're getting reports from Matty that he's currently having no force feedback, which is a bit of an issue. Seemingly a bit of an issue since this latest patch. I've heard a couple of people complain about it, so we'll see if that becomes an issue during the race. But Codemaster's patching too many things at the moment and just creating new problems for themselves, unfortunately. Let's see how it all goes. BT then coming across the line to start his first flying lap of this session. Bit worried that we have not seen YPC Tess out on track yet as well. 12:30 to go, which is basically 2:30 to go, as Matt is now out on track. Stockvik is now retired from the session, and people are going to start doing the same. I think, to be fair, YPC could just retire in the pits without having set a time, and it would be fine, but I'm not positive. Smarty Van just getting a feel for the circuit. Let's see if we can just track his steering angle a little bit and see if we can find anything weird. Well, except for a little bit of lag there. Quite a bit of lag, actually. People are now retiring at record pace, and there's a lot of lag for Matty at the moment. I don't know if it's my connection or if it's his. Just a bit worrying. We'll see what happens with that, as a beat is about to come across the start-finish line to set a time on a set of hard tyres as well. And it's a 111.786. 687, sorry, not 786. So YPC Test on the pit lane. Matty Adams 16 just coming across the line to start his flying lap. So let's see what the Englishman in the Ferrari is going to be able to do. Has had a bit of a weird start to the season, really. A couple of really good results, a couple of really, really poor results as well for Matty. So let's see what he can do now in that blood-red Ferrari. What he'll be able to drag out of a car. As people are retiring at quite a rapid pace at the moment. No Larks, BT, YPC, Tess and Matty Adam left in this session, as Matty's about to come across the line. Is going to be a 105.857, place him up to P5, just behind his former teammate No Larks. And that's going to get him through. Matty also have dispensation to retire on track now, if you will. So feel free to. You don't need to go back into the pit lane, neither does No Larks if you don't really feel like it. Feel free to if you want to retire on the track. As for BT and YPC Test, they both will have to retire quite early or quite soon. As then, that would be Q1 drawing to a close here. Nasi leading the way over on the Czech Squidge, No Larks and Matty. Ginsters in P6, followed by C. Douglas, Sam Obama, Hybrid and Wigan in P10. Djokovic in P11, Darren Style in P12, Beat in 13th, Kit in 14th. I'm just waiting for YPC Test at the moment, and we'll get Q2 underway. But then Matty with a 105.857 there after his early technical difficulties, so we'll see how he gets on. Hopefully those issues are just going to disappear as we get on in this session. As this might be a bit of an awkward stint at the moment if we've got to wait for 8 minutes while everyone has retired. So, if anyone have any fun discussions or fun topics to leave in the Just leave any fun conversation idea in the Twitch chat, and we'll give our take on it. So if you've got any controversial F1 takes, real-life Formula 1 takes, please leave them in the Twitch chat down below, and I can go over your controversial takes and maybe just discuss them a little bit if we're here for a little while. So please just get your opinions in. As weird a take as you could possibly have. As this is awkward as I've not gotten anything in yet. As Ginstas is saying, Logan's actually a good driver, and I'm not even going to argue with that. I think he's a really good driver, actually. I think what Williams did, they brought him into F1 too early, didn't let him mature. I think if Logan, it was a relatively weak year of Formula 2, in my opinion, last year out. If they'd had left Logan, probably finish P2, P3, maybe even won it, but I doubt it. But just leave him in that Formula 2 seat for an extra year or two, just let him mature a little bit, and then bring him into Formula 1. I don't quite understand what the deal is. So yeah, no, I do rate Logan actually. I don't understand quite why it's gone the way it has. Karun Chanduk is the GOAT. Absolutely not, Matty. Absolutely not. Ondertech saying Antonelli will be a flop at least at the start, and I very much agree. Judging by the way he's gotten off to F2, it's not really been impressive. It's been a Prima that have really struggled. He's been in F2, he's really struggled. I've not been impressed with him. I do think Antonelli is going to grow into an absolutely fantastic driver, but I think probably the first half of the season he is going to be absolutely obliterated by Mr. Russell, which I think is going to give George Russell quite a bit of confidence, just being able to smash a teammate like that, because he hasn't really quite yet. Nasty saying Leclerc will absolutely smoke Hamilton next year. I'm inclined to disagree. I don't quite know yet. Leclerc's obviously really embedded in that team, but I do think Lewis is one of those drivers who's just going to be able to adapt to basically any single circuit out on, or to any single car on the F1 grid. So I do think Lewis is going to stick with him. I don't think he'll necessarily beat him, unless Ferrari somehow magically produces a car who's going to be competing for championships, because then I think the routine of Lewis Hamilton is just going to eclipse Charles Leclerc, and that could be something that ruins Charles' career, in my opinion. If Ferrari have a championship contending car next season, I think it's going to be Lewis there and not Charles. As much as it pains me to say, because I would love to see Charles win a championship, but I think Lewis just has the experience over him. Keep this in mind, there's a very likely chance that Lando, by the end of the season, could tie Charles Leclerc for amount of wins in Formula 1. Charles, he's been there for quite a while, but he's never really been there for a prolonged period of time, has he? It's 2019, probably his best year still. A couple of good opinions there. Need a couple of other ones. Ondercheck saying if the car is bad, Leclerc will be so much better, and that I'm inclined to agree with. That I do agree with. If the car is bad, Leclerc is going to have the better Hamilton, and that's just the experience inside that team, isn't it? As there we go, the session has drawn to a close. Nasty, Undertech, and YPC Test lead the way, separated by about 4/10 of a second there in the end. Then a big gap down to Squidge, No Larks, and Matty, all quite closely separated. And then we're not really going to look at the gaps in this Q1 session, doesn't really matter. We're moving on to Q2. Also, K. Wallace is asking for opinion on pineapple on pizza. It is absolutely disgraceful to put that on a pizza. It's absolutely vile. Also, Adam Beatty is asking, what came first, the chicken or the egg? That's a good question. That is a good question. Here we go then, Q2 action, 15 minutes to decide whoever makes it into the top 10 shootout. We're looking at lap times of around a 105 or 104 perhaps. About, say, a 107 to a 104, I reckon is going to be the range of laps. As Matty Adams, Savas admits he has less developed taste buds. No, I'm just traditional enough to say the pineapple does not belong on pizza, and Gordon Ramsay very much agrees with me. Which means I automatically win this argument. Sam Obama then is just trying to get the tires warmed up. Is that a camouflage helmet there by Samo? It could be. I actually quite rate that. Just trying to get his tires warmed up after turn 4, which is quite tricky, especially around this place. I reckon tire warm is going to be absolute hell. But everyone's piling out of the pits quite early, and this is a very short track as well. They are going to struggle a little bit with trying to contend with traffic, or trying to deal with traffic, navigate through it. That is going to be an issue, and I promise you, we saw one impediment in Q1, is not going to be the last one. Is usually the name of the game in Austria, isn't it? Someone always gets impeded, let's see who it is, and let's hope it's not too serious. Here we go then, Sam Obama is about to come across the last few bends and turns, get up into probably 5th, 6th gear, and there we go, start off his first flying lap of Q2. Down to 4th probably for the first corner, yes indeed, straight up to 5th, get the power down. DRS wide open on the exit. Here we go, all the way up into turn 3, because turn 2 is this little left-handed kink. This isn't a corner, I don't understand why it's labelled as a corner. Touched the inside curb a little bit, maybe got a bit too much of the sausage curb, but worked out quite well. Then flat down to the run, down to turn, would it be 4 or 5 maybe even. Really hard to go deep into here, or really easy to go deep into here. Really tricky corner to get the car slowed down for you. Kind of drift wide naturally on entry to that corner, and then these two actually really nice corners, these two fast flowing left-handers, before you open up the steering a little bit to the right and onto the 2 final turns of the track. 7th or 6th gear through the penultimate corner. 7th gear for Sam Obama, down to probably 5th or 4th. 5th gear through the final corner, and the cross line is going to be a 105.510. It's a decent first lap, as YPC Tess is running behind. Is that C. Douglas? Yes, it is. Let's see what they can come across for. Gins has actually beaten Samo's time by a couple of tenths of a second. It's Nasi, 104.855, first fast lap of the session. YPC Tess 105.309. C. Douglas 106.152, Squidge is on a 105.138. Everyone's coming across at the same time. Where's Matty in all of this? He's just about to come up to the line. Oh, but that looked a bit uncomfortable coming into the penultimate corner there. Let's see what he can make of it. Gonna be about a 105.509, just a couple of, just 1,000 quicker than the first time we had of Sam Obama. I have Kit W41, and EBT is about to cross the line as well. EBT's actually going slow, I believe, in the final sector, and Kit beats out Douglas and Darren. Hybrid's just begun a lap, and Beat is going incredibly slowly in the final sector. So then Hybrid crossed the start-finish line around the first corner to start his flying lap then. At the moment it's Nasi who set the pace from Squidge, Ondrejek and Djokovic, championship leader at the moment in P4. I'll have a look at those standings in a little bit of time, as they're actually quite interesting at the moment, especially in the Constructors' Championship. YPC Test down in 6th, there's no time to find for him, who's stuck behind C. Douglas through the 3rd sector. He's going to be able to improve a little bit on his second run. Ginstis, Matty, Samo and Wiggins currently in the top 10. We're looking at the cutoff between Wiggin and Kit, is where we'll be focusing our attention throughout the later stages of qualifying, but that's bad from Hybrid. Just getting a bit impatient on throttle perhaps, and that is him out of contention on this very lap. He'll have to go again. But bold to try to stick the mediums on. Bolt to try and stick a set of mediums on. Probably go into the pit lane now, bolt on a set of softs immediately, and get out there. Hybrid's one of those drivers who should naturally make it into the Q3 here, in my humble opinion. So then, what else is going on out on track? BT's just about to start yet another flying lap. Usually likes to do this, BT's just go for laps and laps on end in the early stages of qualifying. Just, I don't know, trying to get used to the car track maybe? Obviously can end disastrously, as YPC test actually gone quickest by a margin as well. 104.490. I missed quite a bit at the front by the look of things. I missed quite a bit at the front. As Tess gave BT a lovely bit of slipstream there coming up. Well, was that his teammate? Yeah, that was his teammate actually. On a check, then that was probably entirely planned out. Well, planned in the moment. So let's go here through the second sector with a BT, just about to start up the third sector. See what kind of power he can get down this straight, and is it going to be 7th or 6th into this penultimate corner? 6th gear for a BT, just getting a bit more drive maybe through that corner, and straight up basically into 8th after the last corner, and it's 105.515. Good enough for the top 10, but just barely. So he'll have to go out again. 5 thousandths of a second behind Samo. Very close between Matty, Samo, and a BT at the moment. Incredibly close between the three. I have Ginstis in P7. It's actually, Ginstis is one of those drivers who's, I wouldn't say surprised me this season, but he's really been impressive ever since his debut. He had an awful debut, must be said, really, back in Australia. But ever since then, it's just been, yeah, he's just been steadily improving, and now, solid midfield driver here in NEF1. Yeah, we'll see. Not too far off that top 5, just about 2 tenths off Squidge, which is actually really impressive. Ginstis 83, well done. Showing steady signs of improvement. Matty's on an out lap, so is Samo. Beat is on an in lap. Douglas is on a invalidated fast lap, and Hybrid is on a not invalidated fast lap. So let's see what Hybrid can push on in the McLaren. Needs to get lap time in here for a bit of security. His teammates all the way up in P6, so he would like to join his team in Q3, because I do reckon no Larcy is going to get there. I'd be surprised if not. At the moment, we've got a field separation in Q3 of about 1 second going down from YPC test to a BT. And keep in mind, at a track like this, 1 second is actually quite a bit around such a short track. Looking at a Grand Prix as well of just over about half an hour to 40 minutes. So it's going to be a quick one. As Hybrid then comes across the line, what is he going to be able to do in a McLaren? Is it going to be inside the top 10, not even close to the top 10. Okay, so Hybrid under pressure now, 105.866. 3 tenths of a second off, 3.5 tenths of a second even, off safety. So that is worrying signs for Hybrid. Maybe that pace just isn't there around this place. Wait and see. Is Matty Adams 16 now going through Sector 2 and into Sector 3. What's he going to be able to do coming across the sector split is improved by over 2 tenths of a second, which would take him past Ginstis, potentially no Larks as well. So don't think he'd mind, just that's a bit of security. So then across the line, Matty Adams 16 goes up to P7, it's a 105.245. Realistically, that should be good enough. Should be good enough. Let's see what Sam Obama's going to be able to do, and that's going to tell us quite a bit. How much is he going to improve on this second run? That's time for one more if this doesn't go quite to plan. He's coming across the sector split now. How much is he improving by? He's not improving. And Ivor's Hybrid on this attempt. I don't know if he's going for 2 flying laps. Should have probably gone in there and boxed for another set of tyres. I don't know what Hybrid's doing here. As Darren Styles now on another attempt, improving by a couple of times through the fast sector. So it's an Alpine sandwich, the entire field. YPC tests up in the first, and Darren up or down in 15th, should be said. So everyone between those 2 Alpines at the moment. Darren's going to be maybe a bit stressed by that. That's a good Sector 2 time, though, improving by a full second, which is going to bring him up quite a bit. Quite a bit at the moment, so Darren's on a good lap here. And Darren's on a really good lap here if he can hook this up. Through the third sector, nice and tidy. What's he going to be able to do? It's going to be a 1:05.406. And that is up into the top 10. And Darren Style, welcome to Austria. Very decent lap that. Very, very decent. That's put pressure. Wigan, Hybrid, BT. It's a couple of big names not inside the top 10 here in NEF1 today. See what they're going to be able to do. Kit and Douglas at the moment. How are they going to respond to this? Need to up their pace and need to do it now. Some of them not going to get anything done on this lap. Needs to get a new set of tyres on. I would advise probably... Yeah, Wiggins just started a flying lap. Let's see what he's going to be able to do. Djokovic's out on track as well. He's going quite slow there. I reckon he'll come into the pit lane maybe. Oh, it's fully charged battery though. Indeed, he's going to go for it, Djokovic. But not really going to pay too much attention to Vafo. I'm more interested in his teammate. Trying to get out of Q2 as he has done a lot of times this season now. He's having a quiet season, Wigan, but he's having a really good consistent one. Aston Martin leading the Constructors' Championship. Worth pointing out as well. And he is improving, and he's improving by enough to make a difference. Let's see here, Wigan, as Nassi's retired from session in the pit lane, so nothing to be too concerned about. Wigan now through these last couple of corners. If he can just keep this momentum on, should be into the top 10, which is going to force Darren out of it, unfortunately. And it does force Darren out of it. 105.331 for Wigan. It is close between the entire field right now. Just over a second separates them. This qualifying here is usually quite interesting. Darren then has one more go at this. One more go. What is Douglas doing? Not enough. He's going to have one more go at this, is Douglas. So I would imagine people are going to start coming out of the pits about now. So if I was Hybrid, maybe I'd even be slightly concerned. He's got 0.2 of a second on C. Douglas down in 14. So if I was Hybrid, maybe even if I was Matty, I'd want to come out again just to try to improve that a little bit. And that's what Matty in P7 is doing. And we usually don't see people in P7 maybe feeling like they have to come out, protect the gap. But right now, the gap is so minimal. Look at the gap between Hybrid, Wigan and Ginsters. It's less than 0.1 of a second. You can even add on Darren and almost Samo to that gap as well. Just over 0.1 of a second then. It is incredibly close between the top 10 here. Or between the bottom 10 should be said. All the way from 15th up to P5, separated by 1 second in its entirety. Yeah. So about 0.1 per car if you want to average it out. So Wigan here is going to go again by the look of things. Does he have enough battery to pull another lap out? We'll see. Ginstus has got to go again. Beatty definitely has to go again. And Douglas is on yet another run now. So Douglas, he'll have one more go after this, depending on his battery status. If he was to validate here, he could potentially save this run a little bit. No Lux has retired from the session up to P3, actually, 104.783. That's a brilliant lap from the British McLaren. Douglas is not improving. Douglas is not improving through Sector 2. What is ABT improving by through Sector 1? A little bit. Got to improve by way more through Sector 2, though. Samos on an outlap's got a couple of more seconds to make it, and he has. Darren Stiles in the pit lane. He is out of qualifying then in P11. So close to the top 10 at the moment, but that could all change. BT then for the last chance to make it into Q3 in Austria. Or is he going to come across the line just before? No, he's not! He absolutely smashes it into the wall through the penultimate corner, and that is BT out of qualifying. Kit, what's he going to be able to do? We'll have a look in a little bit, but that is BT. Well and truly out of contention. Samos improving. Kit, what's he doing? He's improving, but is it going to be by enough? Time to beat is 105.387. I don't think he'll get too close to it, but it could pick off Douglas if he's quick through the last sector. Just misses out. BT misses out. Samo now is the only driver left in contention to make it out of that bottom 5 at the moment and push Ginstis back into it. Hybrid is in danger here if all goes bad for him. Samo through the final corner. It looks quick this. Is it going to be good enough? Yes it is, up at the top 10, Hybrid. Now, is he going to lose that to Ginsters? No, Ginsters has had to abandon the lap. He's out of qualifying along with Darren Style, ABT, Douglas and Kit. Hybrid just makes it through. Bit lucky that, because I think Ginsters had the pace over Hybrid in this session, but it just got through with a little bit of an interrupted... run there. Bit of a weird one. But that is the end of Q2. YPC Test takes the session. We've not paid attention to the top, well, 5 basically. But it is close and competitive with YPC Test, Squidge, Nasi, Nolarks and Djokovic all up there. With Undercheck, Matty, Samo, Wigan and Hybrid. That is the top 10 separated by less than a second for the first time in quite a while in NEF1. I reckon this could be a very interesting Q3 session if you look at those gaps. So then the end of Q2 signals the start of Q3, which at this rate could be really exciting. Undertech actually makes it through on a set of mediums there. Not with too big a margin, about half a second though, but he's not going to be too uncomfortable. As that's worrying pace from YPC Test of 104.490 on a set of mediums. Ahead of Squidge on a set of softs. Nasty's a couple attempts behind Test on a set of mediums, so we might have a battle for pole position on. But that pace from YPC Test is damning. Squidge in P2, Nasty in P3, Nolarks in P4 with a good effort, Djokovic in P5. As we say hello to everyone watching, hopefully you're having a good time because this is going to be one hell of a Q3 session. If you missed out on the early parts of qualifying, it's been incredibly close and competitive throughout Q2, so I reckon it's going to be even better for you through Q3. When all the chips are down, everyone is going to go out on these soft tires from the very start, I would assume. I don't think we'll see the mediums even on the first runs, surely not. But then YPC Test, at the moment, the big favourite for pole position, setting an incredibly fast lap on a set of mediums. Our qualifying, Nasi, who could be the previous favourite pole position here, beat him out by, well over 2 tenths of a second, almost 3 tenths of a second. Everyone then basically coming out of the pits at the same time. We got a couple of stragglers left. There's one McLaren, I believe that's Hybrid. And maybe Djokovic as well likes to leave it quite late, but he's coming out early. Both of McLaren actually have Nolarks and Hybrid staying in. So maybe just looking for a bit of fresh air. Who's first in this little queue? Is that Matty I see? No, that is Nasi31, who we've not really covered too much this qualifying session yet. As Adam Beatty saying, I'm useless, not really having the best of qualifying sessions so far in Q2. Was on for a decent lap there at the end, but unfortunately lost control of his car through the first sector. Thank you, Chris Dougie, as well for the follow. Much obliged. Hopefully you're enjoying the stream. So then, Nasi31 is about to start his first flying lap of this Q3 session. Let's see what he'll be able to produce on a set of soft tires. Can he take the battle to YPC Test? YPC, who had a difficult time out last week in Canada, race that Nasi was able to win in the end by the finest of margins, 18 thousandths of a second over Djokovic, but it was decided on penalties. But still 18 thousandths of a second decided that race. Nasi just getting away with the 25. And Nasi at the moment looking like an absolute machine here around Austria, as well as he has been all season, to be fair. Djokovic has been incredibly consistent, but I'd argue Nasi's highs have been slightly higher. Yeah, if you take Miami out of the equation, Djokovic just absolutely ran away with dominance on another level. But here we go then, Nasi through the final sector. Has been a good first two sectors from him. So heading into the penultimate corner where BT lost it just a couple of moments ago, keeping it nice and tidy. And through the final corner, and that's very tidy indeed. Just throwing the car in there with so much confidence. 104.27 free from Nasi, and that's setting the bar quite high. YPC test, what's he going to be able to do in that McLaren, or in the Alpine, sorry. 104.150, beats him out by just over a tenth of a second. Sam almost a full second slower. Undercheck in P3. Where's Hybrid in all of this? About to come across the line. Djokovic is about to cross the line now. 104.647. Hybrid's not about to cross the line actually, sorry I misspoke. As Wigan crossed the line just now, went for 105.029. And this Q3 session, I have a feeling is not going to be as close as Q2 was. But we got the battle for pole position on. YPC test probably versus Nasi 31. This is going to be a very, very interesting one. Hybrid now is about to come across the line, as previously mentioned. 6th place, 105.112. 6 thousandths of a second quicker than Samo. Bamos, the fine margins to count. A Squidge then going slowly on an invalidated lap. So now I think we can declare that this session is calming down somewhat. Everyone's coming into the pit lane. I believe YPC is in another fast lap at the moment. He is purple sector 1. Okay, so YPC is improving on a 1 set of tires, so that's seriously worrying for the rest of the competition. As the track is getting more and more overcast by the minute. Can anyone give me a weather forecast for the Grand Prix, please? We're having a rain forecast, or will it be dry throughout? Through sector 2 in the slight banking then. And still improving by a couple of thousandths of a second, but not too much. It's Adam BT reporting it'll be a dry race throughout, so that's nice to hear. Let's see, even is YPC going to come into the pit lane on this lap? Yes, he is. So YPC coming into the pit lane, I'm just showing everyone that he can still improve a little bit. So whilst we do this, we're going to have a look at the Drivers and Constructors Championship real quick, if we can just get them up on screen there. Just waiting for confirmation that they are there and everything's working as it should. And there we go. And as we can see, Djokovic at the moment leading the Drivers' Championship by just over 20 points over Nasi 31. Then there's a little bit of gap down to reigning champion Undertech in P3 and Spenklos, who's not racing today in P4. Mattis had a decent start to the season in P5. But it won't be happy with the points total, and we'll wait and see how he gets on. Wayne in P6, followed by Squidge in P7, has a good opportunity to grasp a couple of points here today. A BT in 8th after a very, very strong strategy in Miami a couple of weeks back. Samo having a good start to the season as well in P9, and No Larks needs to score a couple of points to maintain that P10, because after him comes Gintz's had a very good start to the season from what we're expecting after the first race. He's currently sitting in P11 on 16 points, 2 points behind No Larks at the moment, with Jamar on 12, Jamar on 10 points with Hybrid equal to him. Iwatts is on 9, Darren's on 7, Ollie's on 4, YPC Tess, Douglas, Kit and Lockers still awaiting their first points. As for the constructors' standings, it's heating up between Aston Martin and Ferrari at the moment. Mercedes not quite in the battle as of yet, but I don't think it'll take too long, as No Larks has just begun his flying lap. We'll keep an eye on that. Red Bull in P4, followed by Williams in P5, and then it's McLaren, RB, Haas, Alpine and Sauber, the only team yet to score. Yeah, Ginsis, I'll give you an invite in just a moment. Sorry, I haven't seen your message until now. I'll give you an invite in just a second as soon as No Larks has finished up this lap. So don't you worry, you'll be back in for the Grand Prix. Here we go then, No Larks in P9, Squidge in P10, both out on flying laps at the moment. Both need to make quite a bit of this lap. They'll have time for one more go after this. There we go then, No Larks. Not quite touching the curb on the inside there. Cancel your car, nice and tidy on the exit. Not going wide, that's going to mess up 2 laps. And ooh, it's a handy lap there from No Larks. Up to P5, 104.847. 104.8, and basically anything inside of 104s, I would say is a very, very good lap time around here. A Squidge just proves me right. There was a 104.672, just shy of Djokovic there in P4. Disrupting the status quo a little bit at the moment. YPC tests out in front. 4 minutes to go. That's a bit of a weird run plan, maybe. We'll see. Is he improving through Sector 2? Yes, he is. 1.5 tenths of a second. So Nasi is going to have to bring out his absolute A game, but at the moment YPC test could be moving to a 103, which would be absolutely blistering pace if we can pull it off. Let's see. Oh, and he just misses out on the 103. It's a 104.051, which means 103 probably will be the lap good enough for pole position. Djokovic is improving, but he's not improving by enough, I don't think. Improving by about a tenth and a half. Squidge is coming into the pit lane. So Djokovic could be able to place himself above Ondrejek with this lap, which would still be quite important. Then obviously everything could change for the Grand Prix that is to come. Nice and tidy that from Djokovic coming across the line. It's a 104.402. Place him up to P3. Crucial ahead of Ondrejek. Behind Nasivo by a little over a tenth of a second, which is not going to be delighted with. Wiggins improving through Sector 1 as well by about a tenth of a second. So then through Sector 2, then what's the Sector 2 split time? It's a 45.130. He's improving, but not by a significant amount. Won't be upsetting Nolarks at the moment, unless he can have a brilliant Sector 3, but this is going to be probably Wiggins' last go at it. Unless he's fueled up for 2 runs. Let's see then, Wiggin across the line. What's it going to be? 1 minute 5 exactly to the millisecond. It's a pleasant lap time to look at, but it's not good enough for the top 5 or even the top 6. P7 at the moment for Wiggin, and he's got drivers coming up behind him, including one Matty MC, who I would assume is going to improve past that 105.4. As Nolarks has actually retired from the session as he crashed out, or as retired... Nice, retired in the pit lane as Nolarks. So opting it's not going to be able to improve on that lap time. We'll wait and see. Wiggin at the moment charging up his batteries. He'll be able to have one more go at this. Everyone now out and out lap. Djokovic and Ondrejek on fast laps. And Djokovic's actually coming up to the clutch time. Last 2 corners that he'll do this session. So let's see what he can make of them very quick into the penultimate corner. Throwing everything at it and just messing it up in that final corner. Would have been a decent lap. Wouldn't been an improvement, unfortunately. Stays third fastest. Ondrejek now needs to maintain his calm through these last couple of corners, and it could take P3 away from Djokovic. But has it already gone away from him on the beginning of the lap? I believe it has. Yes, it has. Won't improve. That is Ondrejek in P4 at best. Where is Matty in all of this? Currently going through Sector 2, and he's not had a brilliant Sector 1. Much better Sector 2 though, much better Sector 2. Let's see what he can do for Sector 3. If he can gain a couple of times through those final corners, he's going to be right up there inside the top 5 battling away. Let's see, the session has drawn to a close. Now Matty going to be first across the line here. Everyone's quite spread out. Then we're looking at Squidge coming up afterwards. Matty MC, what's he going to be able to do? Up to P6, not challenging Squidge, who's about to come across the line in second. Squidge, what is he going to be able to do? Up into third, pushing Djokovic down a slot, who is out, and Ondrejek is out as well. Wiggin is about to come across the line. Is he going to be able to improve? He's doing so at the moment, and this could upset Nolarks potentially. Wait and see. Wiggin comes across the line, does improve past no locks. Nassi comes across line, does not improve by enough to upset YPC Tess, who's gonna take pole position here in Austria. Can he improve even further into the 103? So we'll wait and see. One corner to go, but it will not matter. YPC Tess does improve into the 103s and takes pole position in Austria by 3/10 of a second over Nassi 31 and Squidge 2017, who got oh so close actually by the end there to Nassi 31, 3/1000 of a second. Samo Bamo, has he crossed the line yet? No, he hasn't, but he won't. He'll be starting in P10. No locks, maybe retiring too early there. Wigan beating him up by 6/10 of a second. Or 6/1000 of a second, not 6/10 of a second. That'd be an immense lap time. I'd put him in P2 on the grid. No, Wigan's in P7 on the grid. 6/1000 of a second, sorry. Matty in P6, followed by, or following Undercheck in P5. Djokovic in P4, Squidge in P3, Nassi in P2. But YPC Test takes his first pole position of his NEF1 tenure. And that is a lap and a half that from YPC Test. Takes pole position here, a couple of tenths of a second over a man who is near unbeatable in qualifying on a regular day, Nassi 31. 2.9 tenths of a second is the gap then, and Squidge and Nassi separated by basically nothing. Djokovic is in P4, not going to be overly happy with that result, but qualified ahead of Undercheck, which is going to be important for him. Matty in P6, Wigan in P7, no locks in P8. Hybrid in P9. Samobamo might be a bit disappointed with that qualifying effort in the end, actually, starting the race in P10. Reckon he might have been able to get ahead of the McLarens. We'll wait and see then. The Grand Prix will commence in a couple of minutes' time. We'll be going to a quick break. Everyone's going to have time to get reset, reorganized, just have a breather before we go racing for 36 laps straight around this Austrian Grand Prix circuit. It's going to be one of those very, very fast races. But it's going to be an entertaining one indeed. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with you for full coverage of the Austrian Grand Prix. Okay, then everyone, we are back for full coverage of the Austrian Grand Prix. It's going to be an interesting one, this 36 laps worth of racing action around the shortest track on the F1 and NEF1 calendars. Overtaking not going to be difficult. It is going to be one of those you have to plan where you want to overtake though, and how to pull away, because the DRS is too powerful around here. It's just going to tow you along. And with the way the field spread is, I would imagine we might have a massive DRS train to get this race underway up until the first round of pit stops. Strategy-wise, I don't know what to expect. One stopper, two stopper, we'll wait and see. I could imagine maybe a two stopper, soft, medium, soft, medium, soft. Maybe a medium to hard strategy. We'll wait and see how it all plays out. But I can confirm that the ready up to get this race underway has been given as well. We'll be going racing in 30 seconds. Time for the Austrian Grand Prix. Djokovic is leading this championship. He's starting in P4. He's starting behind Squidge, behind Nasi, and behind YPC Tess. So then instead we hear the regular beeps that signals that the race is about to get underway. So brace yourself, this is going to be an interesting one. Formation lap, and then it is on to basically a NASCAR-esque track. Not a lot of corners, 9 or 10 corners around the entire circuit, lowest amount on any F1 track that I've ever raced on at least. It's going to be a good one. YPC Test takes the formation lap then from Nasi and Squidge. Djokovic in P4, followed by Undercheck, Matty, Wigan, Nolarks, Hybrid and Samo. Ginstis is in P11 after a bit of a weird moment in Q2. Could have gone through, sadly wasn't able to do so. Darren was looking good as well. So incredibly competitive breaking point between P. They're about in P10 in Q2. It was incredibly competitive. Then we have Beat in 13th, Douglas in 14th, Kit in 15th. I believe Beat in Kit might have just made contact on the formation lap. They'll be starting the Grand Prix, however. Even though it says disqualified, that is just for the formation lap. So don't panic just yet. As we're just gonna get everything in order then for the race start. YPC from Nasi, Squidge and Djokovic. See who can get off the line best. Whomever's leading into turn 1 could be in an advantageous position depending on how badly everyone wants to get past here. Could be a bit, I don't know if you've ever watched Daytona 500 where everyone sits behind each other for, well, basically an hour. Until basically the last 3-4 laps when someone decides to pull out of the train and starts moving forward, and that's when chaos ensued. I could imagine this is going to be somewhat similar. We'll wait and see. I don't actually have a clue how this race is going to play out. We'll have to wait and see in the beautiful scenery of Spielberg in Austria with the charging bull in the background off to your right. Let's wait and see how this Austrian Grand Prix gets underway. As here we go then, the 5 red lights are on for the Austrian Grand Prix. And it's lights on, away we go. Nasi gets a better start on YPC. Could it be challenging into turn 1? No. YPC recovers it into the first stage of the braking zone. YPC holds the lead from Nasi. Djokovic Undercheck. Undercheck actually gets past Squidge there. Wins in P6 past Matty on the start, followed by Nolar, Skinster, Samo, Hybrid, Kit W41, BT, Douglas and Darren falling down 3 positions on the start, but it's messy towards the hairpin of turn 4, and there's a McLaren who's made contact. Is that Hybrid maybe making contact with one of the Hasses, if I'm not mistaken? I could have been wrong about that. Ooh, but Hybrid, not a good start to this race then, but a couple of gaps already beginning to form, but YPC Test holding the lead of the first corner. There we go, YPC from Nasi and Djokovic then making up a position on the start, and now could start challenging Nasi for a position maybe, as Nasi not being able to stick with YPC Tess here on this start really. Almost a second worth of gap already. YPC, is he burning, trying to get rid of that gap? Yes he is. So's Nasi trying to just keep with him. Djokovic getting increasingly closer to Nasi now. DRS is enabled on this lap very early indeed. Oh, and undercheck is right there as well. Then there's a small gap down to Squidge and Matty. Now an undercheck. Oh, he has the straight line speed over Djokovic. He's going to send one down inside into the chicane. Yes, he is. And pulls one down the inside of the previous NEF1 champion. And undercheck takes P3 away from Djokovic in a absolutely brilliant braking maneuver. Nasi now still within DRS range of YPC Tess, which is crucial for him to remain here, and he can just pull himself along a bit closer every single lap. If he loses that DRS, it's going to be increasingly tricky for him. And undercheck at the moment looking like he has quite a bit of race pace in that Mercedes, starting on the medium tire. Nasi starting on the hard tires as well, worth noting. He is going to struggle a little bit more, but it's going to come back towards him to the end, unless we have an early safety car, which is going to shaft Nasi's strategy all kinds of ways. Djokovic also on the hard tire, worth pointing out. So the mediums should be the quicker YPC Tess and undercheck at the moment. That's going to switch towards the end of the Grand Prix, but undercheck at the moment, fastest man out on track. I see Douglas is coming into the pit lane, maybe for a new front wing. Wait and see what's going on there. Missing an M plate. Just as the new tires coming on. They're not fixing the wing even though it has M plate damage. That is weird from for C Douglas there. I wonder if he does have that small setting enabled on his OFD to know, or his MFD not to fix the wing damage, because that is an option that for some reason is there really. So I wonder if he potentially has that enabled. We'll wait and hear from him after the race, I'm sure, as to what is going on there. But that's now effectively a wasted pit stop from C Douglas, who's racing with half a front wing. But around this place, not necessarily the worst place to have this issue on. New tyres on for C Douglas then, see if he can just start catching the back of Hybrid a little bit. 12.1 seconds at the moment, up to 13 as he's trying to get those tyres warmed up. Nasi now very much within the DRS of YPC, and if he can just stay here with those hard tyres, he's doing everything he needs to and more, but he's actually rapidly closing in as Ondrejek is rapidly closing in on Nasi. Sends one down the inside for the second lap in a row, the second lap in 3 laps. Second time in 3 laps should be said, and Ondrejek takes P2 away from him now. Might start challenging YPC for the lead here, and he could potentially look towards the inside in turn 5. No, thinks better of it. But Ondrejek here is the fastest man on track. C Douglas, 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and has retired from this race. So Douglas then becomes the first retiree of this session. Ondrejek now looking racy here. Did have an opportunity to maybe strike a YPC. Did he wait too long, or is he going to be able to try to punch his way past on this occasion? Ondrejek, not a stranger of just sitting behind cars trying to tear them down a little bit. But at the moment this is actually pulling Nasi and Djokovic along nicely. But the train that we spoke about is beginning to form, and YPC not able to break away here. But he's the only one without that DRS to pull him along. Djokovic is looking racy behind back of Nasi. 31 Squidge there as well. Matty and Wigan doing battle, the former teammates. Matty getting past Wigan there for P6. Wigan settling for P7. 2 seconds back from that little DRS train at the front, which I'm sure Matty would love to catch, but he can't get caught up in battle with Wigan if he wants to do that. See, BT just on the fringes of the points, had a decent start up 2 positions as well. 6/10 of a second at the moment behind Sam Obamo, who is in P10. Ginst is up 2 positions on the start as well, and up into the points in the Haas. Djokovic very, very close to Nasi coming out of turn 1. But it is that DRS train effect. Ondrzejczyk is getting increasingly close to YPC. Is he going to send one down the inside? He says a move to the inside. Maybe trying to force a little bit of an error from YPC, causing him to lock up and go over that outside curb. But now then, YPC not going to be able to do anything about this one. Ondrzejczyk on lap 6 takes the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix away from him. Like snatching candy from a baby, he set that move up for the last couple of laps. And now on lap 6, could capitalize on it. Ondrzejczyk is the new race leader here in the Austrian Grand Prix. And now YPC got to maintain his cool and try to stick with him. Now it's all about managing your tyres, managing your battery, managing the expectations of where you want to be after this first stint as well. And you want to be the one who pulls this trigger. Matty at the moment is actually in quite a good position to try to pull an undercut off on this top 5. Squidge as well, quite comfortable in P5 at the moment. I would not want to be in the middle of this train, as is Nasi, and especially as is Djokovic, and especially Nasi right now. Very much in the middle of this is YPC's having a look towards Ondrzejczyk, as Djokovic is having a look towards the inside of Nasi and almost making contact with both Tess and Nasi in the same corner, losing out to Squidge there though. Got a bit too opportunistic on the brakes and it could have ended in disaster. That's actually given Ondrzejczyk a bit of breathing room. Let's see if Ondrzejczyk now can use this to try to punch away if he's got any spare batteries. Trying to potentially 0.8 of a second, needs to get that up to over a second, and then maybe allow the chaos to ensue behind him and try to run away with this one. But it's not going to happen on this lap, I don't believe. But it's those kind of opportunities you have to be prepared for. It's those types of opportunities you have to take advantage of when they come to you as well. At the moment, he's not far away from being able to make the most of that opportunity, Ondrzejczyk. The gap is expanding, though these DRS zones, there's too many of them in Formula 1 now. Once they start increasing the DRS zones from 2 to 3, it's too easy just sitting behind people with DRS now. YPC almost a full second behind Ondrzejczyk just 2 corners ago, and now within striking distance coming up on lap 4, and that's simply due to the drag effect of DRS. As there's been an issue further back, is that Darren Style and ABT who's had an issue on the main straight, even not coming onto the main straight or coming off it. They've had an issue on that main straight. Darren and ABT, what has gone on there? Ondrzejczyk then holding off YPC, holding off Nasi, holding off Squidge. Djokovic is sitting behind him. Matty's closing in. Matty's closing in on this top 5 pack at the moment. Zamo is trying to make it past Nolarks. The two are going side by side into sector 2. Bang wheels. Nolarks, Zamo won't give each other an inch. Who has the inside for the next corner? I believe Nolarks still has his nose in there. Won't want to touch the curb too much. Forcing Samo wide a little bit there. Is going to have to with the sweeping nature of that corner. Samo's going to come back at him up to turn 1 though. YPC is very close to Ondrzejczyk as well, but Samo takes P8 away from Nolarks there. And now is YPC going to challenge Ondrzejczyk into the braking zone of turn 3. He's going to try to it's just going to hang back for the time being, try to get the DRS maybe on the back straight, but just leaving a little bit too much room there, and that has compromised his run onto the second straight. Bazamo there with a brilliant little move on Nolarks. Great little battle, and it has gained him a position up to P8. Nolarks though has gotten that position back though on the run down to turn 5. And now let's see if they go side by side with each other once again through sector 2, but I don't think so. No, Samo has to tuck in behind the McLaren, as Djokovic is looking very racy on the back of Squidge as well. But keep in mind, this hard tyre is doing everything it should for both Nasi and Djokovic at the moment. They're just sticking with the medium runners. Lap 10 out of 36, this is actually going by incredibly quick. As YPC now very close to the back of Ondrzejczyk, and I believe we're going to have another switch for the lead here, unless YPC maybe backs out of it. It's a DRS game now. Nasi now somehow in the lead of the Grand Prix, deploying a little bit. I did not see that coming. Contact made by Ondrzejczyk. YPC down into 3rd. Squidge up to 3rd. YPC down to 4th. and that has caused all sorts of issues. Now maybe Djokovic on one piece. Is YPC going to go from 2nd to 5th here on one straight? Djokovic looking towards the inside of Squidge as well, almost making contact. YPC now down in 5th, and that is how close it is between this leading pack. You can go from 2nd, almost 1st. I believe YPC was in 1st coming up to turn 1. From 1st to 5th in the span of 2 corners. This is incredibly close between the top 5. And the kind of NASCAR racing that I was predicting would start happening is starting to happen. Djokovic now, 3-second time penalty, multiple track limit warnings on that hard tie. It's not going to do him any favors. Let's wait and see what goes on. Nasi now would lead over Ondrzejczyk and Squidge. But on this straight then, everything looks to just be a bit calmer. Djokovic aggressive on the brakes. Matti now very much in this train as well has joined the party. And is now a six-way battle for the lead of this race. Squidge looking slightly towards the inside, and he makes contact with the back of Ondrzejczyk. That has allowed Djokovic to get up at P3. That's caused Ondrzejczyk a little bit of time on Nasi. Djokovic now up in P3 again, past Squidge. Dangerous on the brakes there from Squidge, just misjudging it ever so slightly, and that has cost him a position in the end. But if we keep doing this for another 25 laps, then yeah, they're gonna be a bunch of sweaty boys at the end of this race, I can assure you that. Matti at the back of this as well in P6, so don't count him out for a good result here either. Has won a race in every full season basically, apart from season 3 that he's competed in. Incredible track record, and I don't think anyone can match it really. Maybe Djokovic. Maybe Djokovic. Speaking of Djokovic, incredibly close to Ondrzejczyk, but not making a move quite yet. 3-second time penalty, but now is the question, are those hard tyres just starting to deliver that slight bit more performance? Because look at Squidge, the gap is just starting to form. YPC is just starting to drop off Squidge a little bit as well, and you start seeing those lockups creep in. And Djokovic is able to keep considerably closer to Ondrzejczyk than anyone is keeping to each other. And anyone else is keeping to each other. Ondrzejczyk, to be fair, was right on the back of Nasi. Nasi, Ondrzejczyk and Djokovic. Who could have believed that top 3 would ever happen again? It's the Hambot Ver of NEF1. Nasi, Ondrzejczyk and Djokovic. Usually varying in order, but it's a nice top 3 to have. 3 quality drivers. But at the moment, it's playing the patient game here. No larks, 3-second time penalty, multiple track limit warnings, yellow flags in sector 3. It's a McLaren who's had a slight issue as Ondrzejczyk moves into the lead of the Grand Prix from, I believe, Nasi. What might turn into Djokovic here come the end of the straight. And it's a straight drag race now for maybe the lead as Nasi. Is he going to be able to come back on Ondrzejczyk? Yes, he is, to the inside into turn 4, and they're going to go side by side. And is that going to allow Djokovic maybe a look down inside of Ondrzejczyk? Yeah, just has a little look, but can't make it work. Ondrzejczyk now back into P2, Nasi in P1. And I apologize to everyone who is not involved in this little battle. You're not getting too much airtime, but it's impossible to move away when you're having it. Oh, as Matti almost... He could have had a run on YPC there if he wanted to. But it would have disrupted the flow of this pack quite a little bit, and it could have dragged him into a race-wrong battle with YPC, which at the moment, I believe Matti might be aiming for a bit higher than just P5 or P6 here. Just sitting back at the moment, waiting this battle out. Not really fancy getting too involved in it. As Djokovic now to the inside of Ondrzejczyk towards turn 3. Is he going to pull that off on the braking? Ondrzejczyk just leaving him a car's width on the inside. Djokovic getting squeezed a little bit, having quite a tight turn. No Larks and Samo still battling behind them. Everyone's quite spread out. We're coming up to the first pit lane stage. And I believe this might be when if Matty pits now, say for potentially a set of soft tires, and he is gonna pit now. Matty comes into the pit lane, and Squidge crosses the line to come into the pit lane actually. These two, depending on what tire they go on, are going to lead this race by the end. Is anyone going aggressive maybe for a two-stopper? We'll wait and see. I believe it's conservative for both of them. Hard tires. That's a bit dull, Squidge and Matty. That's a bit dull. But now, these three have got to get a move on. Because that undercut is going to be effective. They'll come out in clean air as well. Squidge and Matty now, for their sake, cannot get caught up in battle with each other. They cannot get caught up in battle with each other, and Matty doesn't intend for this to be a battle. Deploying quite heavily, trying to get past Squidge, and I don't think Squidge is going to fight this one too hard, is he? No, he is not. Their focus right now, getting past and getting clear of this pack, and this could genuinely elevate Matty and Squidge up into a position where they could win this race, as Djokovic has had an issue, almost going into gravel, just getting a bit tight, coming out of the second sector. And now I believe YPC is coming into the pit lane on his mediums as well. And this is going to give us an indicator on how powerful the undercut is. Where is YPC going to come out in comparison to Matty and Squidge? 3-second time penalty for Squidge for multiple track limit warnings. We'll pay attention to that towards the end of the Grand Prix. But this is going to be crucial. Is Matty going to come out ahead of YPC, and by how much? And that is going to give Ondrzej and Nasi an indicator on how good the undercut is around here. And I think we can answer the question with the undercut is not... yeah, the undercut not as powerful as you thought it would be, but Matty is gonna power past YPC anyway on the straight and stop at the P5 temporarily. Behind Samo's now quite a ways up the road. So now let's see how hard YPC fights this one. But he's on the same strategy as Matty. See how much time they're bringing on Ondrzej, Nasi and Djokovic, because they can't afford really to lose too much time to the guys behind now. They'll need to mind those gaps. Need to mind those gaps, but here goes Nasi with the ADAS and DRS. Now it's a question of these, Samo, 10-second time penalty for speeding in pit lane. Are these three now just going to start helping each other a little bit, trying to cover themselves off from that undercut from behind? 17 seconds is now the gap from Djokovic to Matty. Now 16.7. We'll have a look at how that gap evolves. But now is the thing as well, YPC and Matty can't afford to really start losing time due to battling each other, because that's going to allow Nasi, Ondrzej and Djokovic to get out ahead of them. So they almost need to slingshot off each other right now. What they don't need is this. YPC down the inside of Matty Adams 16, and this is going to turn into a little bit of a battle as YPC gets a 3-second time penalty, track limit warnings, and that has cost them a tempo to at least. As Ondrzej comes into the pit lane, and this is going to give us an indicator as well. Is Ondrzej going to come out behind or ahead of Matty and Tess? What goes on? Hard tires going on at half race distance for Ondrzej 51. Where is he going to come out? Where is Ondrzej gonna come out? Keep in mind, he is avoiding a little bit of that first corner. Gonna come out not quite side by side. The undercut is effective. Ondrzej has been left a little bit behind. So now is the question, Nasi and Djokovic, what are you going to do? And how good of a race tire is that medium? When do you want to come into box for it? How do you play this? How good is the advantage of a new tire going to be, or will you potentially just wait for a safety car if one does happen? But no signs of a safety car quite yet. No big incidents, no front wings gone. Everyone's kept it nice and tidy here. Samo Bamo now on the back of Wigan 71. That is not seeing too much of these midfield battles really going on. So we're just going to give a bit of attention to that whilst everything is kind of settled out in front. Nassi and Djokovic staying out for another lap then on their hard tyres. So a bit of an interesting strategy call at the moment, this. A bit of an interesting strategy. Nassi and Djokovic kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't at the moment. But this has got to... The thing is, this has got to come back to them with the aid of that superior tyre. But once that happens, they've got to do some overtaking as well. It's a crucial thing to remember. Djokovic has now made it past Nassi for the race lead. Worth pointing out. As YPC is now trying to make it past Matty and has done so cleanly without losing any time is the crucial thing for them, because they are now starting to bring in time on these two race leaders. Djokovic and Nassi losing time at the moment at, I wouldn't say a seriously considerable rate, but yeah, they are losing time quite significantly at the moment. How long can they afford to stay out on that hard tyre whilst YPC is now closing in the gap by, I'd say, a second per lap almost? Or are they now forced to go incredibly long on this stint? If they pit now, they'll have 16 laps on a set of medium tyres. So could they even try to bring this down and go softs towards the end? Is the question. It's a question for the ages. 14.3 seconds separate YPC and the leaders. 14.34 seconds as Matty is now sent it down the inside. Double lockup. And that's the kind of things that the leaders will be hoping for. But surely they've got to come in now. Surely they've got to respond to this. They're staying out. They are staying out. 14 seconds is the gap. Skinstis is on the back of a BT for the French points positions. See what's going to be interesting about this one as well. Let's just have a look. Oh, is this a problem for a BT who's gone right off into the gravel? What's going to be interesting about this now as well is the fastest lap point, which I think could go to genuinely anyone who wants it. 10-second time per half. Come on, game. For exceeding track limits for a BT might be looked at after the race. That is not a warning penalty, I don't think. But those types of penalties are absolutely ridiculous. Now is the question, when Nassi and Djokovic do eventually pit, how far back are they going to come out? Because they've got to catch this pack as well. Matty at the moment is winning this Grand Prix, and Matty might be on for a chance at the win here, realistically. With Tess's penalty, what's got to happen here? Tess has got to shake Matty if he gets past. Which around this place, not an easy thing to do. Matty can just quite comfortably, potentially, if he has to pay, sit behind him. Just wait this out. Matty might be a favourite to win this Austrian Grand Prix. I'm not going to speak too early, but he's in a very good position right now. Depends on what Nassi and Djokovic are able to do now on what I assume is going to be soft tyres. Oh, as Djokovic is not going to be able to do anything on those soft tyres. Spun out after turn 3, and that is him probably relegated down to 5th at best. Championship leader with an issue coming out of turn 3, and that has massively hampered his strategy now. Oh, now Djokovic has got to do something here. He's got to make some sort of response. Maybe bolt on a set of soft tyres. Hope he gets out maybe ahead of Nolarks. Because Nolarks is going to be catching the championship leader now as well. As Nassi dives into the pit lane on lap 22, and surely it's going to be soft tyres. Surely it's going to be soft tyres for the Ferrari. He's got to do something. Medium rubber going on the Ferrari. What on earth? What on earth? It's too late. It's too late for the mediums. Surely the hards haven't started degrading yet. What is Djokovic doing? He's coming in. Soft rubber going on the Aston, but a new front wing as well. And that, unfortunately, has cost Djokovic any chance of a race result here, unless we have a late safety car. Behind his teammate now as well, Wigan 71, so Djokovic recovery mode. YPC Test now in the lead of this Grand Prix. From Matt, you can just sit behind him now and inherit this win. Let's see now, Nasi, what's he going to be able to do on that medium? He has a lot of time to make up and a lot of overtaking to do. And a struggling AB team 14th. As EBT for some reason gets another 10-second time penalty. So then crucial for Matty now, just stick within the DRS range for another 12 laps. Ondercheck is going to struggle catching these guys. It all depends on what Nasi is going to be able to do. Nasi obviously in a battle for the Drivers' Championship with Djokovic at the moment. Djokovic not scoring too many points. How is Matty going to play this as well? Once Nasi comes up to the scene, because Nasi is going to get involved in this battle eventually as well. Matty now getting past YPC for the lead of this race. Matty, YPC, Ondercheck and Nasi. What is going to ensue here? What is going to ensue? Wiggins made it past Sam Obama, who's penalty free as well, Wiggin. I don't think that's actually going to gain him anything this Grand Prix, but always nice to see as ABT's having issue. Is he having issues on a straight, ABT? What is going on for the Mercedes today? Over the last two races, well, I believe he had a shocker last week out in Canada as well. Something's going on for ABT at the moment. I don't know if it's equipment-wise or what's happening. Something's going on as Matty leads this Grand Prix even, lap 25 out of 36. And I must say right now, Matty is looking like he's going to win this Austrian Grand Prix potentially. YPC needs to pull something out of the bag here if he wants to make this work. Matty, I did not have him pegged as maybe even a contender for the win here, but right now, definitely one of the contenders. Definitely a contender indeed. As Tran56, thank you very much for the follow. Sorry I didn't notice it earlier. Hopefully you are enjoying the stream. Matty, YPC, Ondercheck and Nasi Van Nolarks in P5. Samo in P6, Wigan and Djokovic P7 and P8. Djokovic trying to recover on that soft tires. About to come up on his teammate, who I don't think is going to give him too many issues. Keep in mind this Aston Martin team at the moment fighting for the Constructors' Championship as well. Ferrari though might well take that lead away from him come the end of this one. 10 laps to go as YPC closing in on Matty. Matty cannot afford an incident right now and he knows it. He knows he's fighting for the lead. He's done this so many times now, Matty. As the trouble continues on for ABT, who's facing the wrong way after turn 4. And right now, the last thing that Matty needs right now is a safety car. YPC, I don't think really would mind it at the moment with the amount of penalties that everyone else has got. YPC, however, probably has P2 in the bag, if nothing else. It all depends on if he can shake Matty. Nasi is not doing what he needs to on those medium tires. They're not working well enough. And I don't think the hards are going to fall off. Nasi would have needed, probably, that set of soft tires that Djokovic is on. He should have played this one a bit more aggressive. As Djokovic is coming up to his teammate, are they just going to pull a bit of a switcheroo maybe into the penultimate sector? No. Or into the penultimate corner is the word for it. No, but on the start-finish straight, Wigan pulls over to the inside and Djokovic is just going to take the position away. P7 for Djokovic then chases after Sam Obama. Needs to get past quite quick if he wants to have a go at Nolarks before the end of this race. He's Nasi, well and truly out of range. Yellow flags through sector 3, Squidge, and what What has happened to Squidge's race? He was involved in this battle a couple of laps ago as well. What has gone on for Squidge on this medium stint? Something's gone horribly wrong from him. I didn't even notice that. I did not notice the Squidge was all the way down here, but something's gone terribly wrong for the Red Bull. And by the look of things right now, Matty Adam has this covered. He cannot afford a penalty though. I don't think he'll risk one. By the look of things, driving with some margin as well. He can afford not to finish this race in first as long as he maintains a healthy gap to YPC Tess. He doesn't need to come across the line first to win this. It should be an impressive drive from the Ferrari. It would be a really impressive drive if Matty was able to pull this off. Nasi at the moment not being able to do anything about it on that medium tire. It's not aggressive enough, it's not good enough, the deficit is not big enough. He's not going to be able to make that work. I can't see it happening over the next couple of laps. As Squidge has boxed for a set of soft tires, could that be a fastest lap attempt? As Djokovic now on the inside of Samo Bamo towards the second sector. Oh, as the two make slight contact, Beatty gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, goes from bad to worse, and Djokovic just can't make it past Samo quite yet, but he's got a couple of laps then. We can get past on this next attempt to try to catch the back of No Larks, but Djokovic having to stay patient for the time being. YPC, Tess and Matty still doing battle, and this is the problem with Austria with these DRS zones. Even if YPC maybe has the overall pace on Matty here, he cannot get past and break away. He cannot, under any circumstance, do that. No matter how hard he pushes, Matty's quick enough to just stick with him. And this race is turning into damage limitation as well for Djokovic. Got to get past Samo Bamo here. Got to try to have a go at No Larks as well. Down inside of Samo Bamo into turn 5. He's going to be able to make anything of that. Yes, I believe he can. Yeah, Samo settles in behind Djokovic. Djokovic is up at P6. Now 2.7 seconds up to No Larks. Matty and YPC switch positions once again. And now lap 30 out of 36. When does Matty stop fighting this and just settle in behind YPC to take the win in that way? I know we'd like to cross the line in first. That's just the racing mentality. But every time they do battle with each other, they risk contact. They risk a race win for Matty MC. When is he going to stop taking that risk and just settle in behind him? I believe that's a problem for Kit W41 coming out of turn 2. Yellow flags, everyone be wary. Yellow flags are cleared. Back up to racing speed. Crucial for Matty now though is to not get complacent. Don't start cutting a corner here and there and getting those warnings. He'll have an he'll know how many warnings he's on for sure. Matty can't get too many of those, so the race win might slip away from his grasp. And at the moment, then it would slip into Ondrzejczyk's grasp. But at the moment, that might actually become an issue towards the last couple of laps. Then it's YPC and Matty does more battle here because Ondrzejczyk is catching them by a little bit every lap. And so is Nasi, to be fair. But I don't think he'll quite be able to catch the back of him. We've only got 5 laps left to go in this Grand Prix, guys. 5 laps left to go here. Matty is taking the lead once again from YPC Tess on track. And I don't think he'll mind having that car behind him to kind of separate the two as well. There's now gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane is not what you want. Not what you want, it's not what you need. Squidge is potentially having a horrid time towards the end of this Grand Prix now coming through Sector 2. I believe it had another issue on the set of soft tire, maybe just going for the fastest lap attempt. as Darren's coming out of the pits also on a set of softs. Everyone inside or outside of that top 10 now starting to go for the fastest lap. Which could actually be an idea for Wigan to do as well. He's got the gap, if I'm not mistaken, to Hybrid. Unless Samo has quite a lot of time penalties that we're not seeing quite yet. Ondrejek is now involved in this battle as well. Now it is game on for Matty. Now he cannot afford to let Ondrejek past him. Ondrejek well and truly now in the battle for the win here. 5 laps to go, 4 laps to go even. And now what is YPC going to do? Is he going to start attacking Matty? Is he going to just hang back a little bit? Because P2 is now probably out of his grasp unless any more warnings and penalties get handed out, which I don't think they will. How's YPC going to handle this little situation? Or is he just going to let it unfold naturally? Or is it going to be a bit of a roadblock to Ondrejek? It all depends, it all depends. We'll wait and see. YPC not involved in this championship battle yet, but at this rate he could be by the end of the season. As Ondrejek now clears YPC, and he is going to start moving towards Matty MC here for the win of this Grand Prix. I did not see this coming, but here we go. Matty versus Ondrejek, and this is for the win. Trying to swoop around the outside of Matty. Matty's not going to want to do Ondrejek any favours here. These two not having raced each other too much in the past. Matty's going to have this one covered, I believe, heading towards the... yeah, heading towards Sector 2. And now just getting a bit of breathing room with YPC round the back of Ondrejek. But if YPC doesn't start battling with Ondrejek now, this is going to be a problem for Matty. Matty needs YPC to kind of hold Ondrejek up here, because otherwise it's going to be incredibly hard to defend. The risk Matty's in now is if he loses one position, could lose 2. And that is just going to gift Ondrejek this win. Matty is now in an incredibly awkward situation. And whilst this is going on, YPC also needs to get these two to move on, because he's about to lose a podium to Nasi. Ondrejek takes the lead of this Grand Prix. Matty concedes it to P2. YPC just sat here not quite knowing what to do. But here we go. He's going to have a run on Matty. He's going to have a run on Ondrejek. And this could now prove a little bit spicy. He's going to pull a move on both of them. Goes to the inside. Is this going to cause a little bit of carnage? YPC takes back the lead of the Grand Prix on paper. Ondrejek in P2. Matty behind in P3. 2 laps to go. And Matty, this is the situation you want to be in now if you're Ondrejek. To be able to dictate this, he wants to now sit behind YPC with that DRS for the next 2 laps and try to keep Matty behind him. Nasi's catching up. Oh, this is now quite an intriguing race of how you actually want to position your car. Matty is all over Ondrejek. He knows he needs to get past the Mercedes now if he wants to win this Grand Prix, but it's gotten ever more difficult, and the win might have just slipped away from Matty here. We'll wait and see. Ondrejek is so good in these situations. He's so routine from last season out, but he gets a bit uncomfortable coming out of turn 1, and that is going to give Matty an opportunity, maybe up towards the hairpin of turn 3. He's going to send one down the inside. He's good on the brakes, Matty. Ondrejek massively outbrakes himself, and this is going to... ooh, this might hand the battle over to Matty. We'll wait and see. YPC in P1, Matty in P2, Ondrejek in P3. Matty, can he get past YPC test now? It's going to give him a little bit of security. Maybe down the inside to go side by side. And this is bringing Nasi into contention as well. Matty in P2. How hard is he going to fight this one? Needs to keep Ondrejek behind him. It's all he's got to do. And he might be content with this situation for yet another lap. But how much does Ondrejek have to play with towards the final lap? We'll wait and see, because Ondrejek is usually good in these types of situations. Matty could be in a bit of trouble here, and so could YPC. Tesby could lose the podium here. Matty versus YPC versus Ondrejek versus now Nasi, who has joined this little train. He is just shy of it though, as we're on the last lap of the Grand Prix. How effective is the DRS now. Matty needs to get a toe on YPC because here comes Ondrejek. He's going to be all over the Ferrari. He's going to be all past the Ferrari into the hairpin. It is Ondrejek who takes the lead of the Grand Prix, but he's not going to have any DRS on the next straight. Matty gets a 3-second time penalty and it's all over. Ondrejek is going to have this Grand Prix. Matty was forced to take avoiding action and that is going to cost him now potentially a podium because YPC knows now he has a chance. Who is going to come out of this next corner in P2 is going to decide who gets the podium here. Matty versus YPC. Ondrejek is going to clinch this win. Matty is, I think, going to emerge in P2. He has YPC's teammate ahead of him, but he's not going to be able to affect things. Nazi's going to take P2 away from both of these, so the strategy has actually worked out. Matty, heartbreak there, having to take avoiding action. He's going to get a podium away from this, but it almost should have been a win. Ondrejek back on the top step of the podium for the first time in a long time. Matty takes P3, Nazi P2 in the end there. YPC just shy of the podium in P4, with Samo set to take his best result in F1 or equal his best result in NEF1 if it's not taken. P5 and another brilliant result for the British Williams driver. Brilliant drive, brilliant result. Wiggins actually going to take that P5 away from him. So's Djokovic. Finishing P5 on track though, still very, very good. Sama did forget about that 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. No, Lars is going to come home in P8 here with Ginst as P9 and Hybrid in P10. I can't help but feel a little bit gutted for Matty because that was his race to win in the end. But Ondrejek, you can just see he has done that so many times. He has been in this situation so many times and he's so comfortable in it. He's so comfortable sitting behind and snatching the win away from people on the last lap of the race. It's not the first time he's done it. He's done it to people before on regular. Ondrejek takes the Austrian Grand Prix away from Nasi and Matty Adams 16. But once again, it's a double Ferrari podium that might have taken them to the top of the constructor standings. But what a race in the end. What a finish. Ondrejek back on the top step of an NEF1 podium, and he needed this result really for his championship battle as well, especially now with the name of the game for Djokovic after that spin in turn 3 being damage limitation. So Ondrejek closes up a little bit in the championship. Nasi has a good week, Matty also has a very good week, and Ferrari probably have the best week of all. YPC with the fastest lap there in the end by quite a considerable margin. Actually, Djokovic got close to it, but not quite close enough. We'll have a look at how it all unfolded come the end of this stream and the post-race review. But then, that has been it for round, is it 7 of the NEF1 Championship? Yes, it is. It's been a brilliant race, can't argue with that. Ondrejek, Nasi and Matty is your podium for the Austrian Grand Prix. We're looking forward to next week already when we go racing. Let's actually give you a little sneak peek of where we're going. We're going to the track of maybe the most informed team in New Era at the moment, Scuderia Ferrari. We are heading to Monza for round 8 of the championship, which is going to be absolutely brilliant. Another fast track, another track that is brilliant for racing action, but can be a bit tricky for overtaking. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in 7 days' time. But until then, thank you everyone so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Congratulations once again to Ondrejek for a brilliant drive. Well done to Nasi and Matty on that podium. YPC tests also with a brilliant performance there. But then, until next time, we'll see you in 7 days. Stay safe everyone, have a good one, and peace out.